Of course, we all know that a Fallout 4 next generation update is on its way, and in this video we're going to be playing a bit of Fallout 4 and talking about some recent stuff that's happened in terms of Fallout, particularly with Fallout 76. Now, when it comes to Fallout 76, there was recently a new update, a new standard Fallout 76 update called the Once in a Blue Moon update, and this seemed like a really standard Fallout 76 update that we've had many times before since its release in 2018, and this just involved a new season 13, and some new general content added to the game. But something was hidden inside of this. This actually added 4K 60 frames per second support to Fallout 76, which is pretty cool, to be fair. This is definitely something that was needed, and basically, so yeah, Fallout 76 now runs at 4K 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and it runs at 1080p 60 frames per second on Xbox Series S. So yeah, it is basically, pretty standard. This is what we should be seeing with all games these days, in my opinion. And of course, having the Series S there to still run at 60 frames per second is nice, just at the lower resolution. Now, before this update for Fallout 76, the game still ran at 30 frames per second on the PlayStation 5 console, which really wasn't great, and considering it's a game that is played primarily in first person, to be honest, this was really disappointing to see, since in my opinion 30 frames per second at a first person game, and 30 frames per second in general in 2023 is just really poor, and it is disappointing to see. So being able to get this improvement with Fallout 76 I thought was great, and it's interesting that this was not at all mentioned by Bethesda. In my opinion, this is something that you should really show off, but they didn't really talk about it at all, and they still haven't talked about it. It wasn't even put within the patch notes. So yeah, before this Fallout 76 update on PlayStation 5, you could just play the game at 1080p at 30 frames per second, and then over on Xbox Series X, you could play the game at 60 frames per second through the FPS boost feature, but this wasn't very good. Basically, the FPS boost feature for Fallout 76 and in general on the Xbox Series X and S. Now on the Xbox Series X, it put the game at 60 frames per second, but it was at a low resolution. It wasn't at 4K, and it wasn't a native 4K, that's for sure. So that was quite disappointing, but obviously that was better than nothing at the time. But now that has been removed, and it's no longer using the FPS boost feature built into the Xbox consoles, and is instead using the basic 60 frames per second native 4K on Xbox Series X, and is using the 30 frames, not 30 frames per second, sorry, the 60 frames per second at 1080 on the Xbox Series S, and is 4K 60 on PlayStation 5. Now the reason I'm bringing this up in a video about Fallout 4 is because on Fallout 4, this is what we should be getting when we get this next generation update, and this next generation update is going to be arriving hopefully in 2023. Which is really great to see, to be honest. Now, of course, this got confirmed absolutely ages ago when we got the 25th anniversary for Fallout 4. Now, Fallout 4 currently runs at 4K 30 on PlayStation 5 and 1080p 60 on the Xbox Series X and S, like we mentioned earlier, due to that FPS boost feature that is on Fallout 4. But it isn't at a high resolution. 1080p isn't what, if chances are you have a Series X, you want to be playing at a higher resolution than 1080p, and of course with 60 frames per second at least. So hopefully when we get this Fallout 4 next gen update, it'll be taking inspiration from Fallout 76 and using 4K at 60 frames per second, and it won't be using that FPS boost feature. And of course right now on PlayStation 5, there isn't an FPS boost feature at all, so the game is quite literally just running at 30 frames per second, which isn't great. Of course, it is an older game, but we are getting a next-gen update, which should, of course, end that. Now, I'm going to read out exactly what we know from Bethesda regarding Fallout 4, and Bethesda have said this, which was during the 25th anniversary: prepare for the future. A next-gen update is coming to Fallout 4. Coming in 2023. This free update will be available on Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation 5, and Windows PC systems, including performance mode features for high frame rates and quality features for 4K resolution gameplay, bug fixes, and even bonus creation club content. And actually did that whilst playing Fallout 4. Pretty impressive in my opinion. But either way, yeah, so we are going to be getting this at some point. It does still say coming in 2023, but we literally haven't had any sort of info for absolutely months now, which is disappointing, but hopefully it will arrive soon. Now, in terms of when the Fallout 4 next gen update could arrive, my guess, to be honest, would be at the end of 2023 at this rate. I can't see it arriving anytime sooner than that. I do think that if it was to arrive sooner, we would have more info by now, since, yeah, and I also think that, of course, they're going to plan this around Starfield. Now, I'm disappointed with Starfield, to be fair, that game is running at 30 frames per second. That's something that I was really disappointed to see, but at the end of the day, I suppose they chose quality over, well, yeah, they just chose the quality over the game, over the frame rate, which is not something I would choose. I think most people, if not everyone, would take the slightly lower graphics for 30 frames per second. Maybe the game is just so big that it's just not achievable, but either way, that's Starfield, not Fallout 4. So with Fallout 4, yeah, it interestingly does say high frame rate, so it's possible we will get above 60 frames per second. Maybe we'll get 120, since of course, the game isn't that demanding. I mean, as you can see right now, I've been getting 160 frames per second around that throughout this entire time on a 3070 Ti at 1440p, so I have no doubt that a PlayStation 5 could definitely hit 120 frames per second at 1080p. So yeah, I really do think that 120 is possible. Whether that would actually happen, they might consider it a bit overkill for a game like Fallout 4, which is basically a single player game. So yeah, they might consider that overkill and just go with 60 and just calling that high, which is still a pretty high frame rate and definitely should be the standard these days. But either way, yeah, 60, 120, we'll be getting improvements to the frame rates, and of course we're getting that 4K resolution gameplay, and hopefully it'll be 4K at 60, just like Fallout 76, which would be really, really nice to see, since I would assume Fallout 76 is the more demanding game, to be honest. So this is also going to be a bit better than what we got with Fallout 76, since with 76 it wasn't actually a whole next generation version, it was literally just a patch to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of the game. It wasn't actually remaking the game or anything like that, or remastering it for the next gen consoles. It wasn't an official PlayStation 5 or Series X and S version. But we are, of course, hopefully getting that with Fallout 4. They wouldn't do all this literally just for a patch for 60 frames per second, since, of course, we're getting that 4K resolution gameplay. We're also getting some bug fixes and some bonus Creation Club content. Now, the bug fixes are something that are definitely needed with Fallout 4. The game can be pretty broken at times, especially with crashes in certain areas and everything like that. And the bonus Creation Club content will be great, but what we really need on top of all of this is some more mod space on consoles. On PC, it's fine, I believe. I don't even think there is a limit on PC, but over on the consoles, that is definitely where we need the improvements. Now, in terms of this next gen update on PC, to be honest, I don't think PC players are going to notice that big of a difference, other than, of course, that bonus Creation Club content. That is where we should really see a difference with PC. In terms of the graphics, I think it's going to be pretty similar. Maybe the textures will be slightly higher resolution and everything like that will just be a little bit better in terms of the overall graphics. But to be honest, you're already getting insanely high frame rates, and you're also already getting the high resolution. So yeah, you shouldn't really notice much of a difference on PC. But console, of course, you're going to notice a big difference. That is for sure, especially on PlayStation 5, since the game is currently at 30 frames per second. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video going over what we can expect from Fallout 4 after we have had the Fallout 76 next gen update. I've already done loads of videos talking about Fallout 4 next gen and what we can expect, comparing the gameplay and what the gameplay will be like with the new version, everything like that. So yeah, just wanted to make this video after the Fallout 76 release of the next gen update, or not really a proper update, just sort of a patch for the next gen consoles, and going over what this can mean for Fallout 4 and what we can expect in terms of that, hopefully sometime in 2023, unless it's been delayed, but I really hope that isn't the case. And to be honest, I don't think that is the case. I think it will release in 2023, just sometime later down the line. But yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this all down in the comments. I'd love to, hear your thoughts on whether you still play Fallout 4. Personally, I don't actually play Fallout 4 that much anymore. I'm sort of just waiting. I don't want to play it too much until the next gen update releases, since of course if I play it loads and then just get burnt out on the game when this next gen update releases, I'm not going to have much fun with it. So it would certainly be nice to be able to, actually wait a bit and then really enjoy the game again once the next gen update does indeed release, which should hopefully, be, my guess is November, December time for this next gen update. Now, I could be completely wrong. Maybe it will release way sooner than that, but I do think that, sort of that November time, December time, after the hype for Starfield has died down, which I believe is a game that releases at the beginning of September. Yeah, I would say November, December is looking very, very likely for a Fallout 4 next gen update, since they don't want to put them too close together, since it could just lose hype for one of them and gain hype for the other, which they don't really want. They want it to be pretty even. So yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. Now, on screen now, you are seeing a link to a video where I go over what we can expect from Fallout 4 next gen gameplay. Hit the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that.